Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt something stir, something wild, something wordless, like a storm you couldn't name? You weren't falling in love. You were being pulled into a design you didn't even know existed. This isn't poetry. It's not fantasy. It's structure. It's nature. And most men, they've forgotten how to see it. Not because it isn't there, but because knowing it, truly knowing it, costs more than most are willing to pay. Socrates didn't avoid that cost. He paid in full. He didn't hate women. He wasn't bitter. What he found was something deeper, more uncomfortable, a truth that still echoes in the background of every man's life, whether he sees it or not. He said men are shaped by clarity, women formed in layers of smoke. Not to insult them, but to warn us, to wake us. Because what is hidden should never be followed blindly. What enchants you can also consume you if you don't first understand it. The men of his time laughed at him. Some condemned him, but he smiled anyway. Not out of arrogance, but because he saw through their ignorance. He understood something timeless. A man who only sees a woman as she appears, her beauty, her warmth, her words, but not how she functions, is like a soldier distracted by the shimmer of his enemy's sword, drawn to the shine, slain by the blade. Socrates didn't preach, he questioned. So now ask yourself, why does she pull strings from the shadows instead of standing in the light? Why is her affection sometimes wrapped in calculation? Why do her silences carry more meaning than her words? If you don't ask, you won't see. And if you don't see, you won't kneel out of love, you'll kneel out of illusion. In The Republic, Socrates painted a picture of the just soul, balanced, guided by reason, not enslaved by appetite. But what happens to a man who builds his entire existence around a woman he doesn't understand? He's not building a soul, he's building confusion, a shrine to chaos. Socrates also spoke of the tyrant soul, led by endless craving, never satisfied, always hungry. Now look around. How many men today wear the suit of logic while secretly begging for female approval? How many build empires not for legacy, but for attention, from someone who disappears the moment things fall apart? Socrates wasn't warning you about her. He was warning you about yourself. When you don't understand her nature, she isn't your enemy. She isn't your savior. She's your test. And if you fail, it's not because she's cruel. It's because you didn't do your homework. You were trained to look for beauty. But beauty is bait. What matters is the intention behind it. And that, Socrates believed, is where men fail. You chase her form, her smile, her softness, but you forget her pattern. You don't study, you just fall. And when you fall, she doesn't catch you. Not because she wants to see you hurt, because she can't. Nature didn't design her to. She selects, she filters, she adapts, but she does not build you. That's your job. That's your curse and your crown. A man must live an examined life. That includes how you think about her. That includes your weaknesses, your needs, your hunger. Because if you don't examine those things, she will. And she will use what you don't acknowledge, not to destroy you, but because it's in her nature to respond to the unseen. Just like a river doesn't hate the stone it wears down, she doesn't hate the man she outplays. She's just doing what nature wired her to do. But what are you doing? Socrates lived among men who thought power was in gold, in titles, in applause. He knew better. He knew real power lives in the man who can't be fooled, especially by what he loves. You weren't born to orbit her. You were born to govern yourself. And here's the thing most men miss. The unexamined desire is more dangerous than the unexamined life, because no desire hides deeper than the one tied to women. It looks like devotion. It sings like truth. It feels like fate. But underneath, it's survival. It's instinct. It's selection. You call it love. She calls it timing. In Phaedrus, Socrates warns, when love isn't ruled by reason, it becomes madness. Divine madness, maybe, but madness all the same. He describes the soul driven by lust like a wingless creature crawling in circles, obsessed with its appetite. And how many men are doing just that today? How many throw away their purpose, their values, their fire? For what? A fleeting smile? A soft voice? A warm night? You weren't built to be consumed by the feminine. You were built to understand it. Socrates observed that while men chase truth, women often chase alignment, not with truth, but with security. That's not a dig. It's strategy. It's survival. She's looking for strength, for status, for certainty. She doesn't want your deep thoughts. She wants your grounded presence. She wants to feel safe in your command of reality. But if you hand her the crown before you've even worn it yourself, she will never kneel. If you make her the purpose, she will test you until you fall. Not because she's cruel, because you've shown her that your soul is up for sale. Socrates broke down the soul into 3 parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. The highest man? The one who lets reason rule. But the man ruled by appetite, by his need for sex, emotion, attention, he dissolves. He doesn't lead, he follows. Not her, but his hunger for her. You've seen these men. You may have been one. They don't shine unless she shines on them. They kneel to her opinion. They betray their own standards to keep her satisfied. And unless you wake up, that could be you. Socrates lived in a world filled with noise mistaken for wisdom, beauty mistaken for virtue, charm mistaken for truth. He saw through it. He questioned it. And when he did, they silenced him. But his message still speaks, not to everyone, just to the few who are ready to see. He understood that women are wired to live in the now, in emotion, in safety, in response, while men, we carry the burden and the blessing of the future, vision, legacy, structure. And that vision, it's heavy. That's why so many men traded for comfort, for validation, for the illusion of peace found in her smile. But that's not peace. That's surrender. Your real peace comes from clarity, not her approval. She will test your strength. She will mirror your insecurities back to you with laser precision. And if you're not grounded, she will master you. Not with anger, not with malice, but with instinct.
Socrates didn't teach men to hate the world or to run from what they didn't understand. He taught them to ask the right questions, to face confusion with clarity, and to shine light on what feels mysterious. So don't fear her, illuminate her. Not with suspicion, but with understanding. She is not your anchor, she is the tide. Do you see the difference? One holds you in place, the other moves around you. You don't grip the tide, you learn how to move with it. You don't blame it for crashing into you, you build a vessel that rides it. You must become a philosopher, not of books, but of instinct. A man who studies his own desire before it turns him into a slave. Because here's the harsh truth. A man is rarely destroyed by external forces. He's undone by the cravings he refuses to examine. And no craving deceives more deeply than the one tied to the feminine. It whispers love, but it acts like addiction. It pretends to be purpose, but it's often a distraction. The tragedy isn't that you need her, it's that you don't even know why. And in that blindness, you turn her into something she was never meant to be. A god, a savior, a cure. And when she doesn't live up to that illusion, you blame her. But it was your illusion that betrayed you, not her. She was never here to complete you. She was here to reveal you. In Gorgias, Socrates dismantles the idea that pleasure equals goodness, that just because something feels good, it must be right. Sound familiar? Modern men chase validation like it's virtue, especially from women. They think approval means they're doing something meaningful. But here's what Socrates would tell you. The pursuit of female validation is not noble, it's a red flag. It signals that you've lost track of your center. You don't need her eyes on you. You need your soul to stand tall even in the dark. Men today are collapsing, not from lack of skill, but from a lack of orientation. They can read her moods better than they can read their own values. They know what to say to win her over, but forget the promises they once made to themselves. You think that's romantic. She sees it as weakness. And she is right. She cannot love what she does not respect. and she does not respect what she can control. This isn't about dominance. This is about gravity. She doesn't want to lead you. She wants to feel safe following you. But if you make her feelings your compass, if you make her approval your mirror, if you make her love your ultimate prize, you stop being a man. You become a satellite. And she may keep you around, but not out of desire, out of convenience. And convenience always expires. The world is full of men who thought they could earn love by worshiping her. But love isn't earned through worship. It's earned through sovereignty. In Meno, Socrates asked, "Can virtue be taught?" But before we even get to that question, ask this. Do you even recognize virtue when you see it? Do you know what masculine virtue looks like? Before you offer yourself to her, do you even know what you're offering? Or have you confused discipline with devotion, lust with loyalty, people-pleasing with love? She doesn't want you broken. She doesn't want you needy. She doesn't even want you nice. She wants you real. And a real man doesn't orbit the feminine. He orbits the good, the true, the just, and only invites her to walk beside him if she can keep pace. When she sees you live by principle, not persuasion. When she sees you speak with restraint, not desperation. When she sees you lead with clarity and love without losing yourself, she will follow. Not because you demanded it, because you earned it. That's the paradox Socrates understood. Power doesn't come from seeking it. It comes from being the kind of man who doesn't need it from anyone, especially from her. The moment you stop chasing her favor and start chasing your form, not the form of your body, but the form of your essence, you become untouchable. Not hard, not cold, but whole. Wholeness is the forgotten wealth of modern man. The temples of ancient Athens weren't built for comfort. They were built for virtue, etched in stone, measured in trial. Socrates didn't teach to please others. He taught one thing above all: know thyself. Not please her, not serve her, not become what she dreams of. Just know. Because in knowing there is power, and in power there is peace. But most men are not at peace. They're at war with a lie they told themselves, that her love will save them, that her body will end their restlessness, that her approval is proof they matter. That's not love. That's intoxication. And a man drunk on illusion can't see truth, no matter how close it is. Socrates spoke often of forms, ideal realities behind the physical shadows we chase. There is a form of womanhood. There is a form of manhood. But most men don't pursue the form. They chase the shadow, the shape, the scent, the promise wrapped in posture and perfume. And they never stop to ask, what does this form serve? What does it protect? What does it consume? She isn't evil. She's efficient. She isn't deceptive. She's adaptive. She isn't broken. She's calibrated to survive. Not to save you, to save herself. Her instincts are sharper than your fantasies. Her decisions faster than your feelings. And when your eyes are clouded with longing, she sees what you don't, your weakness. Socrates never said this outright, but it's hidden in every dialogue. You're either ruled by reason or ruled by desire. There is no in-between. The man who falls into her without a map doesn't become free. He becomes lost. He may smile, but he's drowning. And what happens next? He blames her for the undertow he never trained for. But the man who trains himself in truth, who examines his instincts, who confronts his cravings, who names the illusion before it takes root, that man doesn't drown. He sails. And she respects him, not because he's cruel, because he's clear.
In Symposium, Socrates tells the story of Diotima, a woman who taught him the ladder of love, not as pleasure, but as elevation. Love, she said, begins with the beauty of one body. But if you stop there, you rot. True love climbs, from the physical to the spiritual, from the temporary to the eternal, from desire to wisdom. But most men, they never climb. They camp at the first rung. They confuse pleasure for purpose. And then they wonder why they feel empty. She is not the destination. She's the beginning of the question. She is not the kingdom. She's the gate. She is not the flame. She's the wind. But you are the sail. Your strength isn't in overpowering her. It's in outgrowing the need for her to define you. Let her be mystery. Let her be paradox. Let her be all that woman is, layered, elusive, alive. But you must be man. In the Socratic sense, measured, examined, enduring, unmoved by flattery, unshaken by rejection. Not because you're empty, but because you are full. That is your calling. That is your dignity. And dignity isn't handed to you. It is forged in silence, in rejection, in the nights where no one claps for you, where no one sees you, and no one's coming to save you. That is where Socrates would have you build. Not in her arms, not in her affection, but in the unshakable courts of your own soul. A man who needs her warmth to feel whole has no fire of his own. A man who bends his truth to keep her happy will eventually break. And when he does, she will not put him back together. Not out of cruelty, out of nature. Because even she is searching, not for a man who needs her, but for a man who chooses her freely, fully, and with clarity about who and what she really is. She's not your savior. She's not your therapist. She's not the mirror that tells you if you matter. You want her to see you? Then stand where few men ever do. In solitude, in principle, in discipline. Not needing to be seen, but being someone worth seeing. Socrates said, "The shortest and surest way to live with honor is to be in reality what we would appear to be." Every man wants to appear strong, to appear wise, to appear desirable, to appear grounded. But how many are willing to become that man when no one's watching? Don't chase her attention. Cultivate presence. Don't chase her body. Master your appetites. Don't chase her love. Offer your truth and let her respond as she will. That is the examined life. Not just thoughts, but motives. Not just philosophy, but posture. Not just ideals, but response under pressure. Because when she tests you, and she will, when she pulls away, goes quiet, challenges your stance, that's not a fight. It's a trial. And that trial, it's sacred. Most men collapse. They betray their own soul in the name of keeping her. But not you. You stamp. You hold. You respond with clarity, not craving. You understand she is not the enemy. She's the signal. And if her silence wrecks your peace, if her disapproval steals your mission, if her rejection ruins your self-worth, then the weakness was already in you. She just revealed it. Don't resent her for being what nature made her. Study her, learn her, respect her instincts, but never surrender to them. She is wind, uncatchable, unpredictable, unstoppable. You are the mast. You don't scream at the wind. You don't try to hold it in your hands. You adjust your sail, and you move. That is manhood. Not control, not conquest, but unbreakable orientation. This is the truth they won't tell you, not in school, not in media, not in the soft scripts of modern masculinity. But Socrates whispered it in every paradox, every dialogue, every poisoned cup. Be unshaken. Because when you are unshaken, she feels it, not in fear, but in awe. She sees a man who cannot be moved, and she responds in the only way nature has programmed her to. She aligns, not because she's submitting, but because she is selecting. Not because she's impressed, but because she recognizes power, real power, not over her, over yourself. Because women don't fall in love with weakness dressed up as charm. They align with strength, quiet, centered, unwavering. They don't follow your flattery. They follow your frame. Not your fame, your frame. Socrates didn't growl for loyalty. He became the kind of man to whom loyalty was the only natural response. He understood this: what is grounded governs what is fluid. And you, man, you are not meant to chase water with empty hands. You are meant to build a channel and let it flow. The world will tell you to be soft, to adapt, to please, to soothe her storms. But if that means betraying your own storm, your fire, your will, your truth, then you've already lost. Because once you start folding for her favor, you'll fold again and again and again, until one day there's nothing left but a shell of who you were meant to be. There is no love where self-betrayal is the currency. There is no intimacy without integrity. You want to know what kind of man a woman cannot leave? It's not the richest, not the hottest, not the most poetic. It's the man who could walk away and still be whole. Because the moment she senses that your soul is tied to her presence, that your fire dims when she walks away, she knows you are no longer fire. You are a candle. And candles go out. But the man who holds his line, who smiles through rejection, who continues his mission no matter what she does, that man becomes gravity. She feels it. Even if she runs, even if she pulls away, she remembers. Because deep down, she's looking for that center, for that orientation. And Socrates knew this. He lived it. He didn't chase applause. He chased alignment. And alignment is everything. You must be unmoved by her approval, not to punish her, but to protect your soul. Because when she challenges your core, she's not trying to destroy it. She's trying to locate it. She needs to see if it's real. And if you pass that test, without folding, without flinching, without begging, then she sees what she's rarely seen: a man whose kingdom is not built on her smiles, but on his own spine. That moment is the moment she trusts. That moment is the moment she chooses, not because you tricked her, but because you held. You think the pain of rejection is punishment. It's invitation to rise, to grow, to become the man who can love without losing, who can lead without dominating, who can feel without falling apart. This isn't stoicism in the cold sense. This is sovereignty. This is Socratic masculinity. Calm, measured, untouchable. Not to escape love, but to make love possible.